What's going on, everybody? Happy Wednesday. We are back. That's right. The whole crew is back. It's me, it's Mike, it's Steph. The Sith Council is back. And what are we going to talk about today? Well, Bad Batch, episode 3, spoiler heavy. And don't worry, Mike hasn't watched a lick of it. That's great. Great research. So yeah, we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna spoil the hell out of it because that's what he gets. That's what he gets. So we'll be doing that. We'll talk about the big rumor that this Lindelof movie, it might be a trilogy now, but not only that, they're going to announce movies for 2025, 2026, and 2027 at Star Wars Celebration in London. How true is that? We'll talk about that as well. Some Moff Gideon news. There's a potential new Lucasfilm project. And then we're going to take questions from you guys. So make sure that you buckle up. We're going to have a really good show here today. And speaking of which, if you haven't already done this, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, this is the Big Thing Star Wars episode, Sith Council. So make sure you head on over to Apple Podcasts, Spotify. It helps the show tremendously. Patreon.com/The Big Thing Show. We have a lot of different tiers over there. Hopefully you find something for you. And then our merch right now, Black Knight. It is up on the store at the moment. Get yourself Black Knight shirt. It's another one. So Sith Council, show some class. I just ordered this for both Roxy and Steph. It's the You Don't Know-ish shirt. Steph, you love this one, don't you?
Love it.
You're going to wear it all the time.
Cannot wait.
All right. So make sure you do all that stuff and more. It's Sith Council, everybody. You ready? I'm ready. Great. Here we go.
I can feel your anger. It gives you focus, makes you stronger.
What's up, everybody? It's the Sith Council show. It's me, Steph,
Hello.
and the killer is back.
Howdy.
Good to have everybody back.
Good to be here.
Yeah, it's good to have everyone back. Happy New Year to everybody if you haven't been on the show already.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Mike.
Yeah.
You start us off. Bad Batch.
Well, I thought
episode
that
3.
it built on a lot of the stuff in the second episode, but it
Sure.
also wasn't a lot of the crew, which I liked.
Sure.
You know, so we didn't
Close.
see a lot of the crew.
Close.
Which I liked.
Well, that part was true.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the rest of it, you.
It didn't build
I
up.
found my way, because I found myself in many situations, especially with sports, where if you just kind of believe what you're saying and kind of just say nebulous stuff, you can fake your way into a conversation.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah,
Well, not this time.
non-specifics.
Yeah, well, all right. So
You
good.
bet you could fake your
Just
way.
take a
But
nap.
You
We'll
sold,
talk-
you sold me out.
We'll
You
talk to
sold me out right
we'll
on air.
Talk to you in 10 minutes.
Cancel Kalinowski
Unbelievable.
2023.
Go fall-
Oh, now you're not on my side either? Okay.
I just said unbelievable.
I don't know what this is. This is not your fault. This is we're trying to get this
Unbelievable.
fixed. Try
That's
that.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
okay.
Yeah.
Hello.
All right. So then I'm going to start with the professional on the show. Steph, Bad Batch, episode 3.
Yeah.
Full spoilers here for anybody who hasn't seen it. You can, if you haven't seen it, you can skip to the time code. But what did you think of this episode?
I thought it was great. It's my favorite episode of the season thus far, which kind of does suck because it doesn't have most of the Bad Batch. But
Yeah, I think I said that.
Crosshair is the most interesting character to me right now.
Thank you for saying that.
Yes, of course. And then we saw in the trailer Cody was going to come back, but I thought that was a great reveal. And I just thought that the episode did a great job of being like a classic Clone Wars episode where you have good themes that are presented. Like, I like where Crosshair's going. I definitely think he's going to end up on the good side by the end of the season. And also, it was just like great action.
I liked how dark it got.
Yeah.
I liked how dark it got, and it did have that Clone Wars feel because of how dark it was able to get. And what I will say is, I'm not going to spoil this for anybody, but as we talked about in the last, it did, and it still concerns me that there are some episodes that definitely play into the adventure of the week type thing.
You've seen them all,
I have not seen them all yet. I've seen that's what I was going to get into next. I'm about 9 episodes in.
but they gave you them all.
Yes.
You had access to
Yeah,
them.
I'm 9 episodes in right now.
Yeah.
There are some episodes like this one that are significantly better, and it's when they start focusing on an actual story.
Right.
When they focus on a story, the show is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
There's a few episodes down the line that really, really deliver because it's starting to get to what this show is really supposed to be about. There are a few episodes where it's like they get sent on an adventure, they're on some planet, and it's like, oh, okay, get me past this one.
Let me ask you this then, to what you're
sure, go
saying,
ahead,
because
Mike,
we
yeah.
talked about that during Mando. A lot of people complained about those episodes. We felt they're filler. It's filler. get to the story. But we love those episodes. So why are you not feeling the same with these fillers?
Different, because I think that the Mando episodes eventually start to play into the overall idea of the through line of the
Building
story.
his character and
yeah,
whatnot.
but of the entire story itself, where
Okay.
it seems like Bad Batch starts to repeat the same formula of they get sent on a mission, they have to do this, they figure something out on the mission, and some people love that's why some people watch the show. But as I said, like there's a few episodes, like I don't know if it's episode 4, I think 4 and 5. There's a few of them that are just like, okay, same thing. And I said, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it through this whole thing. But then they start to. There's some stuff that happens on Coruscant, is all I'll say, and fantastic episodes. But this
I'm
episode,
excited about that.
Yeah, it's great.
But with the Mandalorian, even like the first episode Bill Burr was introduced to, I think was a Adventure of the Week
In
And then-
Mandalorian,
Yeah, and then you get him the second episode. And it's like one of the best Mandalorian episodes.
And that's why it's not Adventure of the Week
Right,
anymore.
yeah,
because
yeah.
it could be then
That's
to
what I'm
answer Mike's
saying,
question,
yeah.
because you think it is at first, but then you realize that all of that went down, you have to introduce yourself to them, and and you're still being introduced to Mando's past, and so all that's kind of why the play is. However, this episode I thought was fantastic because it does play into, I think, the overall arc, at least the very end. As Steph said, you're going to get Crosshair, who is just, he's still in that mode of, I'm a good soldier and I'm going to prove that I'm a good soldier.
Even though his inhibitor chip is out.
He doesn't care.
Yeah.
He doesn't care. And by bringing Cody in, and it's not Cody at the end and he's got to see this at the end, where it's basically they have the woman who wants to have this negotiation. Cody's like, I'm going to talk to you. Just chill out, put it down. And then the Empire is like, no, kill her. And Cody's like, I can. Crosshair does it. So I don't know about Crosshair going good. I feel like he's one of two things is going to happen. There's no way back for him, or he's going to eat it doing something heroic.
Yeah.
It's usually kind of the trope that they
that's
usually
what I
go down.
was gonna. That's what I think is gonna happen.
Yeah.
But I agree. Yeah, he's still so frustrating because at every point I still want him to turn.
Yeah.
But this episode, I still enjoyed like that internal battle. That's why I say he's the most interesting, because it is like, when you think about war in general, there's people who think they're fighting for the good side and they're not.
Right. And he's also kind of lost, right? In the
Yeah.
beginning, he's eating by himself in the cafeteria, and like he gets called in, and he just wants to work again because he doesn't know what his purpose is, and he doesn't have his buddies with him anymore. So this is easily one of the best episodes in Bad Batch, I think, 1 and 2, because it really dove deep into who this guy is, and you felt for him, and there was emotion behind it, and the politics of where it all went, and going to that planet and realizing that they were just trying to kind of survive through, and the remnants of the war, and how the Dooku stuff and politics. Yeah, it was
I thought
great.
the callbacks were really well done because it made you invested, kind of like what I was talking about with the first episode of season 1, where we have an Order 66. It makes you be like, oh, okay, like this is what I love. But you're introducing a new story at the same time, and then developing a past story that we know of, but maybe don't have as much information about.
Yeah, and I think that's what they did, and there are things that add into this in general that you start to see that this guy who's giving him the orders and sending him on the next mission to go, look, well, guess what? You just did this, great. You proved yourself worthy. Now go find your buddies, right? And keep it on the DL, because I don't want anyone else to know about it.
Yeah.
And that's the overall theme that is consistent in this show. And as they focus in on it, if they do what I hope that they do, and what I've seen so far in the other episodes, if they continue to do that, then this season's going to be significantly better than the first, because there are those episodes. I'm telling you, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, where they go on some mission with Wanda Sykes' character, and I was just like, oh, this is like the same thing that they do. I'm like, are they going to do this every episode? And the next episode, they're like, nope. Then they bring in it gets really, I would be lying if I was going to say I was like bummed where I turned, because we were watching the freaking Golden Globes yesterday, and I was like, I want to be watching Bad Batch right now, and I haven't said that. I haven't been like, oh, I really wish I was watching that show. And I was hooked after a few of those episodes, but this episode is a kind of a appetizer of those episodes down the line, because you don't get those in the next 4 or 5, but you get them as they come out later on, and they seem to know where they want to go with the show.
I liked all the droids too.
Yeah, the droids were great. I mean, and it was great that they brought back the old Roger Roger.
Yeah,
it was so bizarre. I hated them so much when I was a kid, like when they first came out, and now I was like, it's a Roger Roger robots. And even the way that they played those up, you enjoyed that?
Yeah, I thought it, again, like that's like bringing in stuff that we're like, oh yeah, familiar with, but then adding it with the story in a way that doesn't seem forced.
Right.
And then just is a great world builder for this time that they're telling.
Yeah. Mike, thoughts?
Well, it's interesting that you say that because of the filler episodes and whatnot. But I was always into the batch themselves. But I don't know. But as far as Crosshairs and him turning bad, he's not turning good. Oh. He'll go out heroically saving them.
So he will go good, but he's just going to eat it. Yeah, he's going to eat it in a trope.
I don't think he's going to turn fully.
Yeah, he's going to have like a moment where he saves him at the end, I think, and eats it. But see, I'm still a good soldier.
Yeah.
And he's going to have one of those moments. A lot of them got to eat it, though. This has to be the last season, right?
I think so.
I was going to ask you guys, what do you think? There's a talk of a third, or are they going to keep churning these things out forever?
Could be. I mean, could be ratings wise. It could be something too. And look, it's not gonna make. I mean, Filoni's pockets are gonna get a little more full as he makes them. So why wouldn't you want to keep making them if people are still liking them? If it makes sense, I
mean, it's a different. I don't say it's a different demographic, but it caters. You get the younger viewer in there as opposed to Andor.
Absolutely, and it's not. But it's also one of those. I think when you make the animated show, if you're Lucasfilm, you know right away. You're like, look, we don't need the type of ratings that Obi-Wan is going to get. We don't need those type of ratings for this show or Mandalorian. We don't need those. We just need this number because the cost on the show is significantly lower than the cost on the other shows. So here's what we need to hit, whatever that number might be. And I'm sure they're hitting it and then some. And they get the hardcore Star Wars. This show is meant for the hardcore Star Wars. It's not meant for casual viewers as the way that these other shows need to be.
Yeah.
Andor, though, it's funny, and I still get people. What you got to do, please, you have to do, if you're commenting, going, well, that's why Andor's ratings are bad. Please understand how streaming works. This is not a movie. I know that we think about this, but when you get initial reports of, Andor bombed, it didn't. It was nominated for a bunch of awards, and guess what happens? Because you already have the subscription service, and you hear a show is good. Do you know what happens? People start to watch the show, and that is what is happening when you get awards buzz and you're already paying for the service. People start to watch the show. I had our show with our mutual friend Justine Marino, not a Star Wars fan, and said, "I've heard everything about Andor. I guess I'm going to start watching. I'm not even a Star Wars fan." People are watching the show now, so that's the thing you have to realize. It just drives me nuts to be like, "Well, that's why the show bombed." The show did not bomb. That's why they're doing it. That's why they already had a season 2. They would have had the season 2 go. It's the same people like Avatar 2. People are now saying, by the way, people are now saying that Avatar 2, I saw this, are faking the box office numbers.
Oh my God,
that is hilarious. That's hilarious. Like, how do you do that? That's like a crime.
Why?
How do you do that?
Why would they? Why would they?
Why?
Fake election.
You know what we got to do? You know what we got to do?
I can't.
We got to fake our numbers, but because even though we faked it and it bombed, man, it makes sense to make another one.
Right.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Stick your head in a pile of sand. Don't come up.
Choke yourself out.
Choke yourself out. That is
out.
the dumbest thing anyone has ever said.
And why?
Why?
Why do you care? Why do you want to say that it bombed?
Because
why?
No, I'll answer that.
But why?
I'll answer that. Click. That's why.
I can't.
Likes.
I can't.
It's so stupid. That's just stupid.
I was talking
that's just
over the
stupid.
holidays.
That's just stupid.
Yes.
Box office and stuff like this, and I had spent some time with Dan Murrell, and he went into a deep dive on that and the click stuff and how the numbers and this and that,
Hatred.
and that's like boggles my mind.
Right.
I don't have time to watch a half-hour Bad Batch. How do they have time to make a video?
Wait, hold on. Go back. You don't have time. What'd you do last night when you got home from work? Don't you lie to me. What'd you do when you got home?
What did I do last night?
Yeah.
I spent time with my lovely girlfriend. Yes, I did.
And then when she went to sleep, what'd you do?
She didn't go to sleep yet.
She didn't go to sleep. She's still up. She's still awake right now from last night.
She pulled an all-nighter.
Yeah. She's still awake. She's just like 40 cups of coffee.
How long was this one? 36 minutes?
Yes. When she went to sleep, what did you do? Don't lie. What game
Call
did you
of
play?
Duty.
What 13-year-old did you fight with on the line?
GTA.
Yeah, right. So
I actually took a nap.
You were beating up.
Okay. So
I took a nap and I woke up at 2:30 in the morning.
And played what?
I didn't play any games last night.
So don't tell me you didn't have time.
I'm making a point here.
Okay, go ahead.
I was trying to make a point, and you ruined the point.
That's fine. Go ahead.
I don't have time to sit there and edit and upload and video this and that thing saying Avatar didn't make any money. How?
Money.
Dan,
because they make money.
Dan went deep dive on it with me, and I
Yeah, because they make money.
Fascinating.
Because they make money.
Fascinating.
If you, I mean, that's why I always say if your brand is hatred, you can't say you like anything anymore. Because if you do, then they're going to call you. They're going to call you. Yeah, they're going to call you a simp. They're going to call you a shill.
Simp.
They're going to call you a shill. They're going to call you all these things, and you can't do that.
You gotta hate everything.
That's against your brand.
You gotta hate
It
everything.
is weird that
it's a weird
the
thing,
movies
though.
Are the movies and TV are becoming
Politics.
politicized.
Oh,
now.
that's been going on for a while, stuff.
Yeah, I guess.
At least
weird when
6-7
you
years.
see, like Shapiro, and it's like, bro, like, why are you here?
But that's been going on for a while. That's
Yeah.
because they've now
made it like
it's because
And I get those people.
Hollywood's on the bad side.
I get those people that do that. But the legions of followers, like if you comment anything against that, the droves come out to defend them. Like,
That's a lot of different things to look. But to be fair, on that,
Holy crap.
also there's still another side of it where you can still get hit on from the other side who think they're the good side, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God, you don't like She-Hulk? You hate women.
Yeah.
You
You're
know,
right.
it's,
You're
oh,
right.
you don't like it. You like
Say
women.
you hate us.
Oh, what you didn't think Black Panther was that good? You're racist.
Oh, boy. I've
it's
been
like,
down that.
but that's what I mean. Like that.
Yeah, you're right.
And I'm not telling you everybody does that.
Of course not.
But that happens, and
The
it's
extremes.
like there's an extreme on both sides, and
Yeah.
you can choose whatever side you think is worse. That's fine. But I mean, there's other side too. Like, oh, you know what? It came out. I love it, but it was terrible. I love it. What about this? I love that too. What about this? That's the best. Everything's the best.
Oh, I know those
There's
people.
tons of people who love everything.
Yeah, I
like
know.
they love everything. It's, oh no, and it drives me nuts. Oh,
Perfection. That's perfection.
Oh, but look, you want to look at the positive of everything. Good for you. But someone said the other day where they were like, well, why do you have to if you don't like something? I think it was talking about Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Don't you think you're alienating your fan base by saying that you don't that you don't like this thing? And I was like,
No.
no.
First of all, we've said like 8,000 times.
That's my point.
We like,
but that's
stuff
what
in
I'm
it.
saying is I think alienating the fan base is
Being
saying
fake.
if you liked Obi-Wan, you're a moron and you're a simp and you're a shill. If you like that show, then you suck. Then yeah, you should be alienated from me because you shouldn't want to come hang out to this channel. You should want to feel like you can come into this conversation and say, hey man, I really like that stuff that you didn't like, and here's the reason why I enjoyed that show.
That's what I like. When
Yeah.
people come at me going, hey, you
love-
didn't like that? I liked it, and there's
Yeah.
this is the reason why. And I'm like, I never thought about it that way. I love that.
Right. So I actually feel you'd be doing a disservice to the fan base if you were just saying, oh, I'm going to tell you about everything I loved about the show. I'm not going to tell you anything about what I didn't like, because I was so baffled by that comment. It's like, don't you think you're alienating your fans? Like, if you feel alienated because I'm telling you my thoughts on a particular things that I didn't like, then you really shouldn't watch this show.
When I'm looking for new shows or new podcasts to listen to or whatnot, I'm always critical of like, how are they? As far as, are they, even when they say they love something, like, yeah, but I understand why you don't like this. If it's that blanketed praise, I'm like, nah,
Right.
I can't go for that.
But even if it's one
Or
of those
blanketed
things,
hate.
that's why you and I will have the conversation where you'll say, well, why do you like that? And I go, well, here's the reason why. And you go, okay, well, I don't agree with it, but I understand your point of view.
Yeah.
And that's the type of thing that I think that everyone should be able to have a conversation about. And no one should say, well, you're an idiot for liking it. I don't agree with you. You think that if you think Obi-Wan was a really brilliantly written show, good for you guys. Yeah. And I think that's great. And if you think it was a brilliantly directed show, then good for you. Look, I'm clearly might be in the wrong because Deborah Chow just got nominated for Directors Guild for Obi-Wan. I didn't think it was the best directing that I had seen in television, but clearly other people had different opinions on it. And I think and good for her. Congratulations to her. That's a big win.
Yeah.
So, but I think that there's a difference between, and there's the same thing when people go, oh, you can't take criticism. Well, what's your criticism? Is your criticism, hey, I don't agree with your points because of X, Y, Z. That and I think that instead of maybe saying it this way, you guys could have said it that way. That's criticism. This is a dumb thing that you don't know. You're wrong. Blah blah blah. That's a matter of fact. That's a statement. Right. That's not criticism. And there's a difference when people think like, oh, if you say something negative about somebody, that's criticism. That's not criticism. Criticism is when you have backed up points. The whole we just had this whole conversation on tomorrow's big thing about film criticism, right? Yeah. You get someone again like 99.9% of the time, I never agree with William Bibiani on takes on anything, but he's a brilliant film critic. He's a brilliant television critic because he knows how to articulate his words and bring point his opinion. And I go, well, I don't agree with anything you're saying, but you make a lot of sense because of because of the way
What
you're
he-
saying
yeah.
it, the way
Right,
you write it. He's
right.
a really good
Right.
writer.
Of course.
And I think that that's the difference between saying that's criticism as opposed to just saying, well, I hate this show because of this and this. Blah, 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 blah. It's like that's not. You're just saying you hate something. That what do you not like about it?
Right.
And then going into that criticism.
Yeah.
So anyway, Bad
I think
Batch.
that was the dumbest thing you've ever said.
You're right. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Pure, a true statement. A true statement in general. But anyway, so but Bad Batch, as we mentioned, episode 3, it's out right now, and Crosshair, it really delivers. It was good to see Cody back.
Right.
I don't know, is his chip gone?
No, I don't think so.
You don't think his chip is gone?
No, I don't.
I guess it really doesn't matter because it's not really. Well, how is he going to react if he sees some Jedi that pop up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's true. Interesting, and we don't even know when he's going to pop up again. But as we get deeper and deeper into the story, I will say that the lore starts to get better.
Good.
All right. Now, before we move on, I want to tell you guys, Athletic Greens, AG1. I love it. I love them. I've been using AG1 for a long time, and I told you about it. I mean, I've been telling you about it. You guys know. You've been watching or listening long enough. You know how much I love AG1. I didn't have the time to take 1,000 different vitamins, and I just couldn't do it. So when Brett told me about it, I was like, look, let me try it. It tastes good. It puts everything all together. And I've been taking it for months. And I have my energy. I get better sleep quality. I love it. You just take 1 scoop of AG1 and you pretty much take like 75 high quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source, superfoods, probiotics, adaptogens, all of it. And you start your day right. It's the best. It's lifestyle friendly. It contains less than 1 gram of sugar. It costs you less than $3 a day, and you're investing in your health, and it's cheaper than your cold brew habit. I'll tell you that. It's the best. It's cheaper also than getting all the different supplements yourself. Athletic Greens has over 7,000 5-star reviews. It's recommended by professional athletes. It's the best. I love it. You guys know that I love it. I've been talking about it forever. We have it on the shelf. It stands out on the shelf. So if you want to make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/bigthing. athleticgreens.com/bigthing. Take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. God, I love this. I really do. I love Athletic Greens. All right, thanks again to our friends over at Athletic Greens. Good, just good, Mike. Put that anywhere. Athletic Greens, if you didn't know already, we love working with them. We've been with them for a while. If you can, please, you want to help out this show, you want to help out yourself, get yourself some Athletic Greens. And I just saw this recently. Somebody said they just got their subscription to Athletic Greens and they love it. Let me know whether you put a comment here, whether you tweet at me. I got to know. All right, so how we've been doing this lately, I don't know if Mike's been part of this yet. Mike,
Have I been? Let's see.
I don't think so. And this is all across the board in every Big Thing episode. And I don't know if you've done this yet.
Yeah.
You did last week. Yeah, last week.
Oh, boy.
So basically what we could do is that we're going to put some topics on the table.
Okay.
And then we'll go through them, the three of us, and you can choose which one you want to talk about. If you know about the story, you can summarize it a little bit. If not, then we can go through it on the actual rundown. But here's we covered Bad Batch, and there's really only 3 stories outside of the questions themselves. So we're just a matter of which ones we're going to go with first. So I'll start us off, and I'm going to go with this big announcement, potentially, of the new movies at Star Wars Celebration in 2023. Yeah, I mean, I think this is something. I mean, Steph and I talked about this, I think, last week. But they're talking about there's a good possibility that Star Wars Celebration is going to give us the first real announcement of the Lindelof movies and all that. And there's a lot with Jeff Snyder here. So a new rumor indicates that the new Star Wars movie directed by Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy and written by Damon Lindelof will star a person of color. In addition, the rumor indicates that the new Star Wars movies are meant to release in 2025, 2026, and 2027. They're going to be announced at Star Wars Celebration this year. Jeff Snyder, who broke the rumor about Lindelof writing a Star Wars screenplay, spoke on John Roca's podcast, The Hot Mic, about a tip that he'd heard regarding the project, which he believes is targeting the December 19th, 2025 release date. At 56 minutes and 14 seconds into the show, he brought attention to an earlier set of tweets that he made talking about a person of color actor who had success on both television and film, but had not led a franchise movie at this time. Now, this is an earlier one because he talked about a male, but then he updated it, and he said that an update to his tweet. He said that it's going to be a woman of color, not a man. So this was the update on, I guess, Roca's show, and then Senator also said, this is talking about Taika's movie. Said, I don't know if the movie itself is dead, but it feels dead. Like I've said, I think that the Lindelof's movie will be 2025, and I think that they could have their movies for 2026 and 2027. I don't know if Taika's is one of those, but I really get much heat. I really get much heat off of that one, or Kevin Feige's either, for that matter. I don't get any heat off the two of those. Incidentally, Daniel DPK mentioned that the Feige movie has been put on hold. Through a Patreon update 2 days earlier to the latest episode of the Hot Mic podcast, it seems likely that the current workload of Marvel Studios productions, which includes 11 announced films, 11 announced shows, and several unannounced film shows, television, may be taking priority over a spin-off in another franchise. Feige has been able to multitask before, but Marvel has been his priority. And then Snyder was talking about, explained that he expected that this movie will be filming later on this summer, and that more news on the Star Wars movies will be coming soon, and through the official outlet of Star Wars Celebration. I don't know if it's June. I don't know if it's going to be April. I don't know if it's going to be May. Who knows? I think it's going to be shooting soon, though. I think it's going to be shooting by summer, and I think we're going to find out a lot at Star Wars Celebration. I think it's where they will reveal the future plans for the next 4 to 5 years. Okay, so a lot to break down here, and this is something we talked about last week. The 2025 makes a ton of sense in general, and we start because of timing first. Timing when, let's say that they start shooting, let's say May, right? They start shooting in May. They're done with filming in September, August, September, and then they got to start doing post. So you're looking at, if they pushed it out and really got no sleep and marketed it, you could get it out in a year, but why would you do that? Right. So 2 years, that's part one. Part two is Avatar Part 3 comes out in 2024. Why would you want to go up against your own product in Avatar, where you could take a break? Avatar's going to have that 2-year break. The next year is 2025, and then you're going to have to, if you do in 2025, 2026, 2027, you might have to go head to head at some point with Avatar, but why do it right away if you don't have to? So that all makes sense. The Lindelof part of it all, I think all of us have been saying that one makes the most sense. The Taika Waititi movie happening, I think all of us have been, well, you haven't been, but we've all been saying that's not happening. Do you think dead. More and more so that it's going to die now?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, you've finally come around. It's done. It's done, and it should be.
I don't think it's done.
It's done.
I think that it's
dead.
Done.
It's
dead.
simmering.
Dunzo.
It's simmering.
It's over.
Simmering means you're keeping it there ready to serve it up. It ain't gonna simmer. That thing is.
Patty Jenkins done too, buddy.
Oh,
That's
I know.
sure,
Oh, yeah. They're both done.
I think they're both
And I want
done.
to say this. I'm going to say this. And they're both done because of what's been happening with them and other projects.
I think that
100%.
I think that's part of it.
If Wonder Woman 3 the script was gangbusters and WB loved it, and Thor: Love and Thunder did gangbusters, those two would be on the fast track going.
I don't.
That's how Hollywood works.
I don't.
It sucks.
Well, no,
it
you know,
sucks
and it's
because they're
certainly
great filmmakers.
It's certainly how Kathleen Kennedy works. So I don't disagree with you.
I'm just saying it's
Hollywood.
Hollywood.
I don't disagree with you. She plays in that Hollywood kind of thing because not they don't all do that. Like Marvel. Marvel doesn't necessarily do whoever the hot director is coming out. They have their plan. Now, one of the reasons that I think that this will also get scrapped is because I actually think that they're starting to implement a plan. And I think that part of that plan is because they mentioned that Lindelof sat in a room with Filoni. I think that Lindelof is going to be the first guy, because he's not directing the movie, but I think Lindelof is going to be the first guy outside of, because JJ didn't do this, Rian Johnson didn't do this, to sit down with the creative team and go, what can we do to bring the lore together? Dave and John, I know what you guys have been doing. What can we do to really, I think Lindelof is going to take that. At least I'm hoping.
I 100% disagree with you.
Okay.
I read Jeff's things, and I hear that. I hear, like, you guys are doing it all over again. You're going to come into Celebration. It's London. Everyone's going to be excited. And we're going to tell you the 3 movies that are coming out. Bang, bang, bang. We just had a mess of that.
You think it's the same old garbage?
That sounds like a mess. And I bet Lindelof came in there's like, I've got a pitch for Star Wars. It's my mystery box thing. I love doing that kind of stuff. This is what I want to do in the Star Wars world. And like, that's a great take. Yes, let's go with it. I think it's repeating exactly like DC. Love it or hate it. It needed a reset. Whether you love what's going on,
So
or
you
you
think
hate
there's
what's
no
going
plan
on.
still?
I don't.
Yeah.
DC, there's a plan, and
Yeah.
I feel it's whether you hate it.
Yeah. There's a plan.
They're dividing everyone.
Yeah.
But you could tell it's going forward on a plan.
There's a plan.
No, this sounds like celebration, London. Everyone's excited for London. I'm hearing people talk. They're like, I can't wait. It's 3 months away. They're building to this.
You're not gonna have me fight you on this because it's hard. It's hard to. It's hard because is it an unlikely situation, Steph, where Mike's wrong here? Where it's not. It isn't because you could very well. Lindelof could have this plan, and then something happens, and they decide that they're either not going to do this plan, or he's not going to be involved in the second movie or the third, or they're going to do something in the vein of Avatar. This is my hope. This is what I'm hoping that they do, that they finally, maybe it's just me being an optimist.
Okay.
But I'm hoping that they just said, because of that rumor that they were all sitting in that room, and if they do announce a movie that's 25, 26, 27. And these kind of all play in together. They don't necessarily have to be a trilogy of movies, but they play in somehow, and they're telling this cohesive story. Then that to me is it's hope. It's new. It's something different. It's a way to not just throw stuff at the wall and bring in the hot director and do that, but it's not going to surprise me in the least if you're right. But Steph, where do you stand on all this?
I don't think Lindelof is a hot director.
And he's not even directing it. Yeah.
Yeah, like I think that people like us who live off movies and TV respect and know Lindelof. I think my parents and my family members have no idea who he is, even
they know
though
his
they've
work.
watched his shows. Yeah. So, but I will say I don't think I'm gonna fully disagree with Mike, but I do think there's a plan.
Yeah, it's just
I do.
Yeah, it does. I think that Mike's in the right headspace to be. It's like, fool me once, shame on me, or shame on you. Fool me. I always mess
fool me twice. You can't
fool me again. But it is.
We all know that.
It's the truth. But fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And I think that's. I don't think Mike is in the wrong for feeling that way because it just happens all of the time.
It just seems
Patty Jenkins again. Taika now, Kevin Feige, right? It's like stop
the
announcing
Feige, to me,
stuff.
Like the Feige
knew it was never going to happen.
Never going to happen, only because of how wrapped up he is, and the fact that when Iger came back, it's like, look, we need to focus on quality, not quantity. We need to pump the brakes and slow this down. So I think he's in charge of that ship, doing like because they just announced like 3 Disney Plus series are now moving later, like Echo and that are going later. So there's some major changes happening over at Marvel.
I had heard that Echo was having serious problems. Yeah. I had heard it. I didn't report on it, and then there was a bunch of people that reported on it. And
I'll say this:
like, maybe it's true.
I don't believe in that. I mean, I've heard problems with Miss Marvel and She-Hulk. Like, it's a mess. Oh, it's a mess. Look what comes out. They're great. So I kind of, hey, teach their own.
It's fine.
But I think there's stuff he needs to be hands-on.
Miss Marvel was good.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's stuff that he needs to be hands-on. I think Star Wars he'll do it eventually, someday.
Okay,
that's his.
Feige.
That's his. Yeah, Feige. Yeah, that's his. Whenever he wants to come over, is like, I'd like to do my Star Wars movie.
I want to run Lucasfilm now.
They're like, okay, sir.
Right.
So he's fine. That's not happening. Taika ain't happening. Jenkins ain't happening.
No, it's just stop. But I'm with
so
you.
What's,
stop
so
announcing.
You mean
to,
But they haven't announced stuff in a long time, you guys.
They haven't even announced this really yet.
So our Star Wars celebration that we were at, they didn't announce anything. Like movie-wise, like they now have had a few years to kind of make this plan. That's
but they haven't been making it.
No. But you just said it though. The fire is on them now because they cannot. If DC, as you just said, has this plan is going to start releasing movies, right? Yeah. Avatar's got movies coming out. Marvel's got a ton. Star Wars hasn't had a movie since 2019.
Oh, I'm sure they have to.
That's what I'm saying. The fire is that they can't.
You're walking a tightrope. That's
they can't. There's no. Like, and this goes back to the conversation I feel we have every episode here on this, and it's like, how long does Kathleen Kennedy decide she wants to do this? is she able to do this? Did they decide they want to keep her around?
Right.
I had this conversation recently. I think that she is going to finish out her contract.
We talked about this.
Yes,
on
I
the
think
show.
she'll finish out her contract. People think she's leaving after Indy.
I think she's leaving after Indy.
I mean, a lot of people feel that way.
Go out on a high note.
Right, but I mean, and here's the thing with that. Another reason why I wouldn't fully disagree with you is because if that movie hits, which I think it will, and it does really, really well, she goes out on the high note. But she's also has enough time in that time period to set up. She still get producer credits on the Lindelof movies.
Yeah.
Set all those up. She's still a producer on the movies, even when they come out and she's not at Lucasfilm anymore. And you walk off going, I got 3 movies in the coming out with my name on it. Have fun. Do what you want to do with it. I just produced Indy. Now I'm going to go and run it. So I could see that happening. But Steph, what does Kathleen Kennedy do? And this is relevant to this conversation.
Yeah, I think that she is going to go out after Indy, but I think it's going to be like this transition of powers because I do think that they're going to come out with like their own version of phase 1 of this next era of Star Wars. And that would be a massive undertaking for her. I just don't really see her wanting to helm that.
Yeah, I just don't see her. I just
Because-
don't. She doesn't. It just. She got. I mean, it just.
Unless you're an absolute Star Wars
Nut.
fanatic,
Star Wars
an
nut.
ego
Yeah.
maniac, where you're like, I can do this.
Yeah,
I can do
and
this.
I want to see this. I want to see how the Sith did this. And guys, we should focus on the Knights of the Republic.
Right. You have
She-
to have that vision.
She's not her thing.
But
She-
also, you got to take ego out of the equation, I think,
As a producer.
as a producer. You know, or will she want to like, the fans wasn't that the sequel trilogy wasn't what it was supposed to be. I want to knock it out one more time. I want another shot at it.
Then that's ego in it.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. So
Yeah.
you got to take your ego out of it. And she's like,
Oh,
this
yeah.
is not really. My heart's not in this.
But I don't
gotta
know.
step
She
aside.
might. But she also might love. She might also love those other movies. You know, maybe she. Maybe she loves it.
Yeah,
Look,
I don't know.
Here's the other thing with that. We can always say.
Let's get her in here and we'll interview
We'll
her.
ask her. I would love to.
Right.
I would love to. But my thing with her, though, the other thing you have to realize, even if you don't, we all feel this way that she should step down eventually. We all feel that way. But nobody can deny, and whether or not you like the movies or not, she only has one failure in the theater for Star Wars. Only one, and that's Solo.
Yeah.
That's it.
And even then,
Right.
it's hard. I mean, I know it was a failure. I know. It's enjoyable. It's an enjoyable film.
Fine, but as far as
Right.
but what
Yes,
counts
I know,
when
I
she
know.
walks
When
into
you're
the
a
board
producer.
meeting,
Yeah, I get you.
it's like what
Greenlighting that was the
right.
mistake.
So it doesn't matter what Grumpy Pants 75 says on his YouTube channel about you. It doesn't matter as long as Bob Iger goes up. Rise of Skywalker, $1 billion.
Yeah.
That made $1 billion, and people will argue, well, yeah, but it hurt the fan. You're not wrong.
You're
But
not
I'm
wrong.
telling you, as far as when you're looking to your boss, your boss doesn't care again if Grumpy Pants 75 is making videos about you, as long as you're putting money in the bank account. And
the shareholders are happy.
And I disagree with her approach in the way that she's made all those movies. I think that those movies could have been significantly better. That's not what I'm saying at all.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that there are two sides of what you have to look at here. Do I think she's doing a great job as Lucasfilm head? No, I don't. But I think that she has those wins as far as $1 billion movies.
I'm gonna ask you guys something right now. We talk about the sequels and going forward, sequel trilogy, and the fandom is divided, especially with like the Rise of Skywalker stuff.
And
and
Last Jedi. Are you
Yeah,
kidding?
and Last Jedi, of
That's
course.
said it.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I see that in DC. There are these Snyder fans that will hold on to that. You know, Star Wars is in a very tricky spot going forward with what they do.
Yeah.
Do they lean into what is established? You know, because it's not like you can do a reboot of Star Wars. You know, so which
Right.
way are you going with it?
Right. I see what you're
Are
saying.
you? Are
Right.
you? Is
Well, I think that's where they're
it's-
exploring.
That's what the Lindelof
where
thing
Yes.
is
DC
so
basically
exciting.
DC had to go. You know what? We're gonna piss people off, but we got to get rid of Cavill.
Right.
We gotta get rid of
No.
this, this,
You
this,
make
this.
you made a good point. Where they
So this
can't
is
reboot,
like-
but no. But
can't
this is what we talked about last week. This is why you have this uncharted territory
It is.
of where they're playing now because they're playing after Episode 9. So it's uncharted.
The movies
Yeah.
are supposed to.
Like years.
That's
in
what
the
they're saying,
future.
yeah.
They're saying we don't know.
We don't know, but if they go that route, they're not gonna. I think that it's even the rumors
But-
that Taika was doing it took place after Episode 9.
But is it with Rey? Because there's a huge fandom that does not care for that character.
Yeah, but if she shows up, but again, I'm
just playing devil's advocate.
and I understand that it's a fair question, but I think that if she, I think that if she comes back, if she's not the lead character and she shows up, you know, in a story that people love, doesn't matter. I mean, look, the Suicide Squad, just compared to Suicide Squad,
Right.
there are a lot of great characters in there that were in a crappy movie in the first one. Then they showed up in a great movie. You're like, I don't know, like like a couple of those characters, I'm like, I don't know if I need to see them again. They were great in the second time around, you know? So, and I don't know. There's a lot at Star Wars Celebration. Yeah.
I feel like Rey was by far the most cohesive and
I liked her the best too.
Sequel trilogy.
Me too. I would be happy to see Daisy Ridley back. I think that would be
She's a fantastic actor.
I'd actually want to see
back.
I'd want to see Boyega back because I think he deserves a better arc. He deserves a better story.
I would love to see them all back.
Yeah. So either way, that's Star Wars Celebration.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
For it.
All right. So you know what we'll do? We'll actually do one more here, and so we'll let Steph go. Steph, out of the two here, there's really this is a new project, and that's just talking about old stuff. So what do you can pick?
I would love to hear about the new project featuring Dan Hernandez.
Sure. All right. Here's this new project, and again, this is from Star Wars Newsnet. Who, if you guys don't know already from watching our show or watching Jedi Council, you guys should really go to. You should make sure you're always checking out Star Wars Newsnet. Our buddy Miguel Fernandez, but it's just an absolutely wonderful site, and they have their own articles, but they also get all of the news that's happening in Star Wars on the site. So make sure you check that out. All right, here is the latest story, and this is both Dan Hernandez and Benji Samit are apparently developing an unknown project at Lucasfilm. All right. So from Grant Davis, shortly after being signed on by Disney for an overall deal with 20th Television Animation and ABC Signature, it has been learned that Dan Hernandez and Benji Samit, the writers behind Pokemon Detective Pikachu and Central Park, will be developing at least one unannounced project for Lucasfilm. Per Deadline, Hernandez and Samit's list of upcoming projects for Disney involve the likes of Walt Disney Pictures and Lucasfilm on top of their existing commitments to 20th TV animation for animated projects and ABC Signature. At this time, there's no word on whether or not their Lucasfilm project will be for theaters, streaming, or network television, as their body of work has encompassed all three formats. Furthermore, it's not clear if this new project will be tied to Star Wars or any of the company's other significant IPs, such as Indiana Jones or Willow, just as it is not clear whether it will be an animated or live-action format. The deal allows the duo to write, produce, and develop a number of projects across various Disney-adjacent platforms. All right.
Wow.
So
it's interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. Steph, you hear about this? What do you think?
Well, I like Detective Pikachu.
Yeah, it's good.
I heard Central Park is great. I never got a chance to watch it. So, but I wonder, like, those are kind of slapsticky, both, or at least Detective Pikachu was. So I'm excited to see what it would be, but it's not necessarily like what would get
Can't
me.
wait.
Yeah,
Right,
for Star
right.
Wars.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah, Mike. Do you think? So you hear this? Do you think this is a Star Wars project, or it could be tied into something else?
I don't know. That list of things that they got in development there, it's pretty extensive. I was like trying to list all this, like, how many were they doing there? But, you know, I think it's the development process. It's the, hey, we love you guys. We like your work. You got what you got.
Right.
What fits our thing? And they list a ton of them. And they probably, like any good writing team, has a Star Wars pitch. You know, they probably love Star Wars, and they had a pitch, and that worked. But, you know, they have their brand, and it seems like what they do is what they do. I don't know.
I think it
might not be for me, but I don't know who they are, and I don't know a lot of their work.
Yeah.
So I could go in with fresh eyes, not expecting anything. And
Right.
So
I think it's an animated project.
Yeah.
okay.
And I don't think it's Star Wars. I actually think it would benefit Lucasfilm for it to not be Star Wars. I think Lucasfilm needs to start pushing their chest out a little bit and going, we do more than just Star Wars. We got Indiana Jones coming out. Do an Indiana Jones show. Do an Indiana Jones animated show.
Oh, that's awesome.
Do a young Indiana. You can get Jamie Costa to do the voice. You can get Anthony Gruber to do the voice. You could do, I mean, why not? Do a young Indiana Jones animated series. That'd be great. And have these guys do that.
That's cool.
Or do something else. Do something brand new.
Yeah, why not?
Spin something off and do a Lucasfilm project, because why do you need to do just another Star Wars thing? Will it work? If it's a Star Wars thing, would I be excited about it? Of course. But I don't think it's necessary right now, especially with all the Star Wars stuff that we have coming out at the moment, because we know in 2023 alone, Skeleton Crew.
Yeah. Indy. Or
No,
talking just Star Wars?
Skeleton Crew, Ahsoka,
Mando.
Mandalorian. That's the three big shows, and they all play in the same. You talk about a plan. That's the big plan. All three of them link in together.
And Mando's first, right?
Mando's first on March 1st.
Yes.
Oh my God, so soon.
I
So
know.
soon. Ahsoka hasn't been.
Damn it.
Ahsoka hasn't been announced
Hasn't
yet.
been announced yet. We thought August.
That sounds about
Skeleton
right.
Crew Christmassy.
That sounds about right.
Yeah,
And then
I
because
know, I'm
Skeleton
right.
Crew will probably lead into 2024,
Yeah.
and then that gets into
Wait, won't
Acolyte.
Andor?
2024.
Oh,
Andor's
Andor's
going to be early 2024.
I guess that makes sense.
And then Acolyte will be 2024, and then whatever, there'll probably be one more show.
Mando's coming up.
I know.
It's right on the corner.
The past month for me with just work and holidays has just been a blur. That's why
March is insane for
can't
everything
believe-
between
my birthday
movie
month.
release.
Get
yeah,
ready, y'all.
it's great. Movie
It is
release, it's
Steph's
and all
birthday.
that. Yeah.
I have a question for y'all.
Sure.
So you just brought up like you think it'd benefit Lucasfilm to do more shows outside of Star
Mm-hmm.
Wars. But when we're talking about Kathleen Kennedy, I'm wondering, like, do you think that there should be two different positions then, like someone who helms Star Wars and someone who does the rest of Lucasfilm?
Now, when you say him, you mean directing Star Wars, or you're just saying who's
Producing,
leading it? Who's
leading
leading
it,
it?
yeah.
It's something I've been thinking forever. That Lucasfilm there should be the one person ahead of it going, okay, I need somebody to really take the charge on Star Wars. I need somebody to take the charge over there. And then what do you like? Essentially, the
Composer.
Iger or Zaslav of Lucasfilm saying, okay, I got to report to Iger. So here's what I want you to do. Okay, so you want to do this show about, what the hell is it called? The Old Republic? What is that? Well, it's this, and this. You think it's going to work? Yeah, okay, you're my Star Wars people. You really think this is going to work? You think the fans are going to dig with it? I trust you. Go. Not, you know who we should get? We should get this person because that person just has a hit show. Stop that. Like, have a plan and do it, and also have like the people that you know are going to be in charge of it. Do your Star Wars, then say, okay, we got this, we have Indy, we have this, and put it all together in a mix.
Maybe how you guys said that right now. Do you think Kennedy's been like trying to like get Favreau and Filoni? Hey, please just take over all Star Wars, and like, nah. She's like, come on, guys, please, help me out here.
Nah.
I'm like, nah, we just like doing our TV thing. You know.
No, I unfortunately think it's the opposite of that. I think that she's given them a big piece, and then,
But
like,
it's not all of it.
right. Like,
that's
they
the
don't
problem.
run all TV. They run
I know.
A part like it's going to eventually hopefully lead to this whole Thrawn mega event, which is going to be fantastic, and that's why Skeleton Crew, Mandalorian, Ahsoka, they all fit into the same thing, and then you're going to have these side adventures, whether it's the Acolyte, Andor, all those.
But just imagine in the MCU, you got what's going on. So they're building to the Kang Dynasty, whatever. And you had a couple guys on the side like, we're building to the Young Avengers with the
that it wasn't even happening. I know.
It wouldn't work.
No, and that's
if you had these couple guys that all the young characters being introduced and all these things, but we're gonna take them and go into this movie on Young Avengers, and you're doing Kang Dynasty. No, you gotta have it all together.
Same argument why I think that it's that old school kind of Hollywood mentality, the way she runs stuff. So I think this year's gonna be very interesting. All right.
Yep.
But talking about questions, a lot of questions on the table. Well, we're going to ask your questions now. You guys have submitted a bunch of them, so we're going to ask them, and here we go. Julian Aaliyah, it has been rumored that Hayden Christensen will return in Ahsoka. Do you think he is in the series, and do you think it would make sense for him to return as a Force ghost and talk to his apprentice? So I do think he's going to be in the series, because I think him and Rosario Dawson are tight. I think that'll happen. So rumors are that it's more flashback stuff or even alternate reality type stuff of visions and that kind of thing, which would be interesting. But I don't know how true those rumors are or not. That would be interesting to see. But I always thought it would be Force Ghost. I always thought that she'd be able to connect with him and talk to him. But I don't know. I don't know. Steph, where do you stand on it?
I would love to see Force Ghost.
Yeah.
Because where we left off in
Jedi?
in Clone Wars, and then even in Rebels, like, there's just so much that I just think the fans would lose their minds if they see Ahsoka and him being able to connect.
Yeah, agreed.
On that level.
What do you think?
I don't know. I'm torn. I don't know.
Where would you want to see him?
I kind of want to see flashbacks.
Yeah,
like
a little bit more than we got in
didn't
Obi-Wan.
get the ones we got in Obi-Wan that we wanted.
Yeah,
you know, I want to see them fighting, creatures and stuff, and building that dynamic. You know, I'd love to see that.
And I was
really
so baffled why they didn't use they just had used this great de-aging stuff, and even when you watch like the Marvel stuff with how they did with Michael Douglas and everything, you don't have to barely do anything for Hayden Christensen. He looked like he was 40 years old in those scenes. I was like, what are you doing? Like, de-age him a little bit. How hard could that be? I hope that they do that if they do those scenes. But one of the things I wanted to clarify, by the way, was someone was talking about when it came to Ahsoka. I had said, and I'm still like, it was like the scene that happens in the Mandalorian when she is talking to, remember when she gets, where's Thrawn, where's your boss?
Yeah.
So that takes place before the end of Rebels. And people are like, no, it doesn't. Rebels takes place before Jedi. No, if you watch the last bit of Rebels, the last part of Rebels, when you find out Hera had a baby, when you find out all these things, that takes place after Jedi.
Time jump.
And it takes place after Jedi. And when Ahsoka comes in to find Sabine, she says, hey, I know where this guy is. Let's go get him. That's where it all matches up. People kept saying, well, no, you're wrong on the Rebels timeline. No, the end of Rebels, the last season of Rebels, the very end of it happens after Jedi. It's a time jump.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, I can't even tell you how many people kept saying, like, no. Rebels doesn't take place at that time. It's like, yes, it does.
Yeah.
But
I'm rewatching
Rebels
right now.
But Hayden showing up in this thing, I think is, what are we, percentage-wise? Let's start from there.
95.
95.
No, I was gonna say that. I think it's
minds think alike.
100%.
You think 100? Woo.
Yeah, because like she's the worst and best at keeping secret.
Yeah.
You know, like she's like,
She already
oh,
spoiled
it's
it.
Snips. Like, yeah, y'all have been like talking. You're working together.
Yeah, and she also revealed that Lars Mikkelsen was Thrawn.
Yeah.
And
Right,
everything.
right,
So
yeah.
It's
She's the best.
yeah. I
She's
would
the Mark Ruffalo of Star Wars.
Right.
or Tom Holland, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. No, I would go 90%. I would go 90% on Hayden. All right, here's the next one. Jesse Young. After listening to your show with Roka and Dan, you spoke about how James Cameron just knows his audience can really bring out the best in film and how they are received. Personally, I love a James Cameron Star Wars movie. What would you think if Lucasfilm gave him a shot at the franchise after his Avatar film is finishing up? Well, there's a lot to that. The first part of it is those movies aren't finishing up for another 8 or 9 years, and he's already in his 70s, right? So if he wants to continue to do that. The other reason why I don't think Cameron should touch Star Wars, Terminator, Abyss, True Lies, Avatar, they're all his movies. They're all movies that he wrote.
Original characters.
Yeah, and that is really where I'm not saying
outside of Aliens.
Aliens is I didn't mention that one, but Aliens was I'm not saying he doesn't do that, but he hasn't done it in a long time.
No, it's his
Titanic.
Right, it's his thing.
It's his thing, right? So I think, and even though Titanic was based off of real events, but it was his original story that he came up with. So I don't think it's something that he's really looking to do in this point of his career of taking on other franchises. I think he wants to take his Avatar thing and he wants to go roll around in a bed of cash.
I'm like one of the biggest Avatar fans out there.
Yeah.
I would not care to see a Star Wars film by him.
I mean, look, if
he did it, of course, but it's just like I would not like. That's not the magic of James Cameron to me.
Yeah,
he did a Star Wars
Avatar.
It says Avatar.
That's his Star Wars.
Oh yeah.
That is his Star Wars.
Yeah, and I just don't think it's something that if he was 50 years old, I would go maybe he finishes this thing up and they give him something, like, because I thought there was a rumor that Marvel wanted him or something too. It's like, let him finish out Avatar and then he goes off into the sun.
Yeah. I do find it interesting, like not early in his career, right after Aliens, his Spider-Man was going to go.
Right.
Big Spider-Man pitches, scripts is out there. But I think at this point, like if you ask for Marvel, I think he'd create his own superhero.
That's what I'm saying. He was in his 50s during that. It was the 90s, right?
Yeah.
His 40s and 50s. So, and that's the other thing. Like, I think this Avatar 2 is going to make $2 billion. It's already at like 1.8 or something,
easily.
Right? It's going to make $2 billion. So there's only, I think, 3 or 4 movies, maybe 5 movies that have ever made $2 billion. He's got 3 of them.
Yeah.
So what does he need to do? What does he need to do anything else? He doesn't need to do Star Wars. But would it be interesting? Would I be opposed to it? Of course not. But yeah, I don't see that ever happening. Okay, next one. Lucas Romero. How will Sam Witwer finally get his live action debut if he ever does? How would you want him used? Jedi, Sith, or something entirely different? This question I love so much because
good question.
It's so bizarre that he hasn't been in Star Wars so far, like live action. I mean, you could say Darth Maul and Solo.
Well, let me ask you this.
But
outside of Darth Maul,
yeah,
because of his video game, Force Unleashed, and his character, his look is established in Star Wars.
To who?
Whether it's canon or
to
what.
Who?
It's just out there.
Yeah.
And I say this as a person in the industry, I think they look at that and go, well, he's the face of this video game character. We're going to give him a new face.
Who's going to say that? Who? Kathleen Kennedy? Come on.
Then why hasn't he?
He's not.
Everyone loves him. Then why hasn't he?
I don't know. And it's not because of Star Killer, though, man. There's no chance it's because of Star Killer. It's like, but I'm baffled that Filoni hasn't put him in anything yet.
Because he's Star Killer.
Nah.
He'll put, now hear me out. I hear Star Killer coming into the stuff and getting that character being in live action.
How?
100% see that happening.
Really?
Yeah. If they're bringing Witwer in somewhere. Starkiller. He would bring Starkiller.
I would
hear the talk. People want Starkiller.
I would love if they could figure out a Force Unleashed way to do it. I mean, they'd have to change things up with the way they already established stuff, and now the way that they kind of played with the Obi-Wan stuff. But I don't know, Steph, because him and Filoni are so tight. Filoni's put him in so many different things. He's voiced the Emperor. He voiced Maul. He's done all this. Like, so where's he gonna go? How come he hasn't been in it yet?
I don't know. I feel like he's built for it. He's like really tall and like looks like a villain. Like, I think he would be a great live action Sith.
Yeah.
Okay, so Mandalorian season 3 or season 1 shows up. Hey, we got this young kind of hotshot bounty hunter. That one episode. Hey, what about Whitwer? Bring him in there. He gets cast in the role, and was like, well, in the fandom, who is the major audience of the Mandalorian, is like, it's Starkiller. I can't see outside of Starkiller.
Nah, dude,
bullshit. I don't think so.
I'm sorry. I'm speaking
people,
from an acting perspective point of view, from casting point of view, from producing point of view.
I think that there are a lot of video game fans and there's a lot of fans of that character, but not as many to
okay.
What I do think, depending on how they establish it, will be the same kind of Andy Serkis thing. Like, is it Starkiller?
Right.
That will happen.
Right.
Because like Andy Serkis, is it Snoke? Is it Snoke? Is it Snoke?
Yes.
But it's like, no, once they establish right off the bat it's not Starkiller, he's playing this other character.
Okay.
Yeah, they could cast him in something. I think that they
We'll
should.
see if it happens,
and the other thing they could do is they could cast him as an alien.
That's true.
That's
yes,
something that they could
100%.
do also. I just don't understand why he hasn't been in anything yet. Because him, like I said, him and Filoni are really tight. I'm very curious because it's not like he's primarily just a voice actor. He's been in tons of live action stuff.
I feel like he could have been Jude Law's character in Skeleton Crew.
Yeah, and they wanted to go with like a massive, like a big name. Yeah.
I don't agree with that.
What do you mean?
Don't agree he could?
I think just the roguishness that Jude Law brings to a character that I feel that Skeleton Crew, just with little we know, Whitwer has a very like you said, you're like, he's a Sith instantly because his look is he's got such a striking look, Sam Whitwer. It's a very, whether you trust him when you see him, he definitely errs on the side of evil characters.
Yeah.
But
well,
I don't know.
We're gonna find out.
Then.
Acolyte would be amazing, but that's not Filoni though. Yeah. But who cares, right?
Yeah.
Who cares?
Okay, thank you, Lucas. All right, Gareth William, Bane or Palpatine, our origin series. Bane all day long.
For sure.
All day long, because
for sure.
I'm gonna keep putting it out in the universe. Not that it'll ever happen, but I'm gonna do it anytime this comes up. I am gonna pray that what happens is, whether it's movies or TV, that they really approach this like Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, Rome, any of these shows. They set up the Old Republic in whatever it was with the beginning of the Sith and the Jedi, and then they stretch that out for however long that they can, and then that starts to transfer over into the Knights of the Republic, which then plays a bunch of seasons out, which eventually leads to Darth Bane creating the Rule of Two, which eventually then leads to Palpatine and Plagueis and all that, and you just do this full-on epic 7-8 seasons with movies. You got material for years. And I would love to see that happen. It never will, but I'm always going to put it out there. Steph, Bane or Palpatine? You're going Bane.
Bane. I'm not Palpatined out, but like we've gotten a lot of Palpatine, and we are going to continue to in like the Bad Batch. Yeah. Nepo.
What do you think, buddy?
Bane. Come on.
Bane. Yeah. And I just think it's interesting. It's different. It doesn't play in the same place. I love Palpatine. Palpatine's like my favorite character.
We got enough of him already.
There's so much to explore.
There's so much to explore and so much new stuff you can do, and not have people going, oh, because that's the problem when you start playing with legacy characters. It's like, oh wait, that's why they're doing that. That's why they're doing that instead, as opposed to, who is this guy?
Yeah.
Who is this person?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Okay. Let's keep moving. Russell Weathyman. With the critical acclaim that Andor received for its writing, do you think the likes of Favreau, Filoni, etc., looked at the quality and were inspired to up their game for future shows? It's tricky because I think it goes back to what Mike was talking about before with like ego, right? They might not think, and I have no information on this whatsoever, this is just hearsay, but who knows if Filoni and Favreau feel that Gilroy's show is good? Who knows if they maybe Filoni thinks that that's not traditional Star Wars, that he was trained in the arts. He was trained by George Lucas. He thinks, and rightfully so, that he knows Star Wars. Maybe only one knows it better than him is Lucas.
Yeah.
So maybe not necessarily. And I think that we'll find out with Ahsoka. There's reports, by the way, that I saw, and I didn't pull this on the stage, but there's rumors, we don't know how true it is, that there were problems on The Mandalorian and was it Acolyte? I don't remember which set it was, or maybe it was Andor. They said there's no problems on Ahsoka. I can't remember. Someone sent me this on Twitter, but I don't know how true or not it is. But if you look at this, Steph, do you think that they look and they go, "Wow, people really are critically praising this. Should we put a little bit more?" Not go as kiddie, because Lucas always said Star Wars is for kids, and maybe Filoni had that as well.
I think the best creators obviously get inspired by the best creators, but it makes me think about comedy. It's like when you see someone's comedy set that's excellent, you're not going to change your bit to sound like them because it's not your voice. It's not your voice. You have to be original and true to who you are. And The Mandalorian slaps. Like, it's one of our favorite shows ever. So I don't think that they would change anything, but I think they might be like, okay, I think that, like, let's step it up in our voice even more if we can.
If they do new shows, maybe, yeah.
But I don't think it's, like, taking that because it's already established its tone.
Why fix what ain't broke? Mike?
Right.
That's great. Great analogy stuff. Yeah. I think, who knows? I think they probably like, it's a great show. Well done theatrical or TV show. It's just not the kind of thing we want to do.
Right. All right, let's do a couple more here. All right, moving on to all right, Weenie Hut 9842. With recent rumors about Disney doing more sequel trilogy stuff, do you think that'll be the make or break for a lot of people, or do you think it could save Star Wars in theaters if it's good enough? So we don't necessarily know if it's a brand new sequel trilogy or if it's sequel trilogy or not. I mean, look, from that report, though, when you hear 25, 26, 27, you think maybe, and as I mentioned this earlier, in an Avatar thing, if they're gonna do it, and this would maybe make you feel like, oh, wait, they do have a plan. If they decide that they're going to shoot all three of them, like they start shooting in April and then they're done in like a year or whatever it is because they shot all three.
Maybe.
Then that's because then you do like Lord of the Rings where it comes out once a year. If they do something like that, that would be interesting. I don't think they would have to do that if they're going to release a trilogy 25, 26, 27. I just think I think that they have movies that are lined up that people are going to do, and they're going to announce them 25, 20, a year a piece is tough, though.
That's what I'm saying.
It's tough.
It is.
I think you just release. I think you just.
With the shows, right? Like, we have all the shows, too.
Shows, but I think the movies, you just, I'm siding more with Mike on this one. I think you just go, all right, Star Wars Celebration, Lindelof just started shooting his movie. It's called this. It stars this person. It's going to be about this, and it comes out in 2025. On to the next thing. Here we go. We have this show coming out. Don't mention 26 and 27 unless you say, Damon Lindelof is writing this. So-and-so is directing the first one. We're shooting all three.
Okay.
Starting now. Then you'd be like, whoa, they're shooting all three movies right now? That's crazy.
And you think in 2-3 months' time, this man's writing a trilogy of films.
I know. No. Do I think that's going to happen? Do I think it is happening? No. No, I don't.
What if it's like a Gilroy situation where he wrote season 1, he had the concept for season 2, and then was finishing writing it as they were producing.
And then it has it all ready to go.
Yeah.
Like, look, I wrote these.
Hey, I'll eat my words.
There's none of us on this table are predicting that. I'm just saying that
it's possible.
Yeah, that would just make the most sense if they were going to say, if you're like, okay, plan-wise, but to say like, oh, yeah, we have this movie, like to put out 3 movies in 25, 26, 27, I don't know, man.
I think if they have a plan to make a trilogy with Lindelof, please have the plan of the trilogy before you make the first one.
That's what I don't want them to do again.
Yeah.
They do the first one, they go, look, all we need to do is get that first movie out, and then we'll figure out where the other 2 go. No, that's what you did last time, and it failed miserably. Don't do that.
Yes.
All right, 2 more questions, and let's call it a day. All right. Jackson Birch 4914. What would you want the rumored sequel trilogy film to be about? Also, if the rumors on Kathleen are true, do you think that every Star Wars film in development will be scrapped? Well, the first part of that is if she winds up leaving in December, this is why I'm saying I think she sticks around until 2025. I think she's there until the movie gets all because of that very reason. I think those movies are going to be put into production, and so she can then say, all right, all my movies are happening. I'm going to get my producer credits. I'm going to get my points. I'm out.
Yeah.
As opposed to that very thing, she can Indy gets made, she leaves, and then they decide, this production's not going well. We don't like this plan anymore. We're scrapping it, and she don't see ish. So I think it's more likely she sticks out the plan, and I think that once she's gone, and the whole regime changes. I think that whole place will be developed and changed very different, and they unless they put someone else in who just doesn't get Star Wars.
Yeah, I think that she's gonna. I have this weird feeling that just came about today. I feel like there's someone that they're like bringing in right
Grooming?
now. Yes. Yeah, and then she has a plan to leave, but their plan has been instilled, so it's not like what happened with DC where they're like, oh, no, we're coming in and we have to scratch everything that was kind of already in place.
I don't know.
Well said.
I don't know. I do think Kennedy's done after Indy, but now with this kind of momentum behind this 3 talk, maybe not.
I know it's gonna be all right. Last question here. Last one, and we will bring it up from Shelby. Hi, Shelby.
Hey, Shelby.
Shelby says, do you think the success, Shelby 3372, do you think the success of Andor and overall stellar quality of the show, as well as the GG nomination for Diego Luna, is a sign that Star Wars, like Marvel, is going to start getting more recognition at these big award shows? Could there ever be a world where a Star Wars film could win Best Picture? Winning Best Picture is going to be tough, even if you have a great movie.
Yeah,
it's. I think that
the Academy has to change.
Yeah, the Academy has to change in general, and I think that being recognized in Golden Globes and Emmys and those type and Critics' Choice is it's not certainly not easy, but it's easier than say Academy Award nominations and a win, because
I don't think that's what it's there for.
No, but I mean, I know, but I kind of wish it was, though. I think it starts to need to be if they want people to start watching their shows.
That's true. Like, I do think we are saying, the fans of these movies are like, this is what we want.
Right.
Like, this is why we go to the theaters for Marvel and Star Wars. Not just that. There's obviously the Top Guns, but when you think about Top Gun, people were thinking that should get nominated for Best Picture.
Yeah.
And that's probably not going to happen.
It will. It'll get nominated. I think Top Gun will. Yeah, it won't win.
Well, that will be a good step in that direction.
Yes,
then.
but as I think of what I just said, I think one of the main reasons it'll get nominated, not only because it's a good movie, but I think because they want people to watch their show.
Okay.
And when you nominate Babylon and The Whale, and I'm not saying that these movies aren't good, but most people, casual fans, aren't running out to see those movies in the theater. They're going to see Top Gun. They're going to see these movies that are making the money in the theater, and that's what they should start paying more attention to. But there hasn't been a Star Wars movie that I think should have been nominated for Best Picture since Empire Strikes Back, in my opinion.
No.
And it didn't even win. I don't know what
Best
won in
Picture,
1980, but I don't even think it was nominated. But but that movie should have been. It's
Chariots of Fire?
I don't know.
I don't know.
But either way, I think that it won't happen. But what I do think is that what it will show is that with better writing and with more quality and care, and not just the big pew battles thing, you can achieve critical acclaim inside of this, and you can make it Andor was a show that no one on this table thought could be a critically acclaimed darling, right? You thought it could be. But it's because of the detail and the care that was brought into by every actor involved, by the writers, by the directors. You do that to anything that you put on paper, and you really put the effort into. What Steph was just saying, if there's a plan and an idea of where you want to go, and an understanding on the page that we need to start at A and get to Z, and how are we going to get there in between, and what do we fill in? You do that, you can have stuff that people love, people get emotional about, and that people want to nominate for awards.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. I really do think that the award shows needs to do that. To your point, they do need to change if they want their shows to still exist.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important. I always say this. It's people are I don't care about if movies win awards. But it's but what about when in 20 years, kids are going to be looking at what won the awards? I only watch movies from the 80s and the 70s that won awards because I can't sift through everything that went out.
Because they're on lists and they're on these things.
Yeah, it's an important map for our culture.
Yeah, it is. I mean, because it'll let you know what the movies people were talking about at the time. Right? But it also, what I was talking about similar before was that something like Andor, it starts to put it in the conversation more. And when it starts getting nominated, and it's in these things, and it's in Critics' Choice Awards and other things, like the names could pop up, and it pops up in Twitter, it pops up in all these different places, on news articles, on Google. And then if you're a casual person, you see, and you scrolling and you see, oh, what's this? I keep seeing this Andor thing around. Like, I can't even tell you how many people were like, I wasn't really into a lot of the other Star Wars things, but I keep hearing this Andor thing. Is it good? And I'm like, it's phenomenal. And just casual fans of Star Wars tune into this thing and wind up like really enjoying it. So that's why people were like, oh, it didn't do well in ratings. It's not movies. Movies, once they're out of the theater and you don't go and see those tickets, then you just got to hope people start. Look at Black Adam. Right? Yeah. Black Adam was toast after a certain amount of weeks, and then it tried to make some money on demand, and that's it. That's how it works with streaming. You have it, so you could. The ratings could get better in 5 years from now.
Yeah.
Like, look at something like, when Battlestar Galactica was off the air, people are still watching it. Friends. People still watch Friends. The ratings on Friends are still good. Friends has been off the air for like 15 years.
Yeah.
So it's like it doesn't work that way with TV. It's like people always, because they're movie fans, that's what they do. And you can't do that. All right. We have a lot. That was a lot. That was it. So what do you guys think? We're approaching that, as Mike said, we're right around the corner from Mandalorian, man. Right around the corner. We're only a month and a half away, and we'll be covering that in depth, but we're going to still be doing Bad Batch. We'll be watching a Michael watch episode.
Don't you worry.
3 and 4 next week.
Don't you worry.
But make sure you comment. You see that? Comment. Or that. There it is, right there. Right there. Comment. Make sure you comment, and that helps. 1,000 likes, 1,000 comments. Helps the show, helps people see it. And we want to know exactly any of the things that we talked about today. Lend your voice. Lend your opinion. Let's have a conversation. For Steph Sabra and for Mike Kalinowski, this is the Sith Council. Thank you guys so very much for joining us here today. I can't thank you enough. We're having a really fun time on this show.
Yes, sir.
We'll continue to have a fun time on this show. And we thank you guys for joining us. It's Sith Council. See you later.
I can feel your anger. It gives you focus, makes you stronger.